Good morning and welcome to Recovery KickStarts. 5-minute or less videos meant to reconnect you with God and your Christianity and kickstart your recovery for the day. Hey, I'm Pastor Chuck. Glad to be back after a little bit of time off and got a good word for the Lord for you today. Today's episode is called The Reason that we fail to change. Have you ever thought to yourself, I'm serious, I'm really serious this time, I really want to get some help, I really want to change, only for your actions or your words to prove you wrong at a later date and time? I know I sure have. Over the last 16 years of pursuing the Lord and just and working with people in the recovery community, I've read all kinds of stuff about change. Change is why we come into recovery in the first place, but more often than not, we get to a certain amount of change in our life and we settle. We're like, you know what, this is just enough change. It's removed some of the pressure in my life. I'm good. But the problem is we were all in on our addiction. We need to be all in on our change, or more so our Christianity and sobriety. And so in the course of my pursuit of change and trying to figure out, well, why do some guys make it and why others don't? Man, I've read hundreds of books, watched thousands of YouTube sermons. And in the pursuit of that, the best thing I've ever come across on the reason why we fail to change is in this book called The Emotionally Healthy Leader by Peter Sacrazero. And it's just a little chart here on page 45 of the book. I'll show it to you here in the book, but I'm about to put it up on the screen here for you. Sacrazero says that there is 5-stage process to how someone adopts and owns change. Stage 1 in the change process is aware. In stage 1, I'm aware that I have a problem and that it may or may not be worth looking into. At this point, there's no action taken, no steps towards it. It's just simply a thought process that hey, I got something wrong here, and it deserves further review. Amen. Stage 2 in the change process is ponder. This is where we begin to think, what would my life look like without this person, place, or thing, this hurt, habit, hang up, or unhealthy relationship? What would my life be like? During this stage, still no action, a lot more questions than actions here in this stage. Who would I be without the drugs? Who would I be without that? I wouldn't have any friends, and there's a lot of uncertainty, and there's also a lot of excitement during this. Well, I could go back to school, or I could go do this, and I could go do that. So that's stage 2. Stage 3 is the most important stage in the change process. It's the value stage, placing a value on my desired change. At this point in the stage, and we'll come back to the chart, what is this change worth to me? How much will it cost me? How long? What am I willing to put up with? How long am I willing to endure it? What am I not willing to do? And we need to place a value on our change. But Sacrazero says in his book, the reason that people fail to change is they usually just jump right over the value stage and they enter what he calls the action behavioral gap, where we try and fail. A lot of us will go into rehab. A lot of us will go into treatment, this and that, but there's rising and falling, successes and failures, leaps forward, steps back. And for those that get a hold of it, they will emerge victorious on the other side, where they reprioritize their entire life around this change. Maybe your thing's food recovery issues, and now you're at the gym, you're at Weight Watchers. Maybe it's pornography. You got child blockers on your thing. And then after reprioritizing, they own it. This change now belongs to them. It's a part of their identity and who they are. But for those that don't change, the reason that Sacrazero says that we'd fail to change is because we properly failed to place a value on our desired change before the bill comes due. Friends, I've been doing this a long time, and I'm here to tell you that no matter how many times I go to the restaurant and hope the check doesn't come, it always comes. The bill always comes due. And when it comes to change, the bill always comes due. If you're in treatment, maybe a leader will come up to you and say, hey, I need you to clean this toilet or do this or check your attitude. And then now the bill is due. And if you haven't, now get this, if you haven't properly placed a value on your desired change on the front end, when the bill comes due, you're not going to be ready to pay it. And so Jesus talked about this. Jesus says, if anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and his mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even his own life, he cannot. It's impossible for this guy to be my disciple. And whoever does not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which of you intending to build a tower does not sit down and first count the cost or place a value? Later on, he goes to say, or what king goes off to war against another king and does not sit down and first consider whether he's able with 10,000 to meet him with 20,000, or else while they're still a great way off, he sends a delegate and asks conditions of peace. So likewise, whoever of you does not forsake all that he has cannot be my disciple. In other words, he's like, you got to count the cost, friends. And so I'm here to tell you, in 16 years of doing this, the reason that we fail to change is we fail to place a proper value on our change before we begin to pursue it. And then later on, when the bill for that change comes, someone says, hey, you want a whiff of this, or hey, you want a hit of this, you know? We haven't placed a value on it and said cost first value, you know, no, I can't do that because I esteem this change higher than the temptation in front of me. Amen, somebody? And so the way we place a value on this, and I'm going to leave you with this, is you need to ask yourself for this change. What is this change going to cost me? How long am I going to have to pay it? And is there anything I'm willing to not do in order to achieve it? The second you put no in that, you're done before you even started. So friends, that's the reason you fail to change. So until I see you next time, remember that no matter who you are, where you've been, or how far gone you may be, you too can be recovered. See you next time.